In this video, we're going to talk about constraints in Backoffice and how to add validations around it. At a high-level overview, validation rules will guide the user to follow instructions. Create validations for fields in Backoffice using out-of-the-box rules, or you can create your custom. We're not going to cover those to keep the video short. But the validation rules also enforces the entry when importing using impacts. So this is a little technical. If you don't know, don't worry about that. We're going to cover that shortly. But reloading the validation engine has an immediate effect. We'll cover that as well. Now let's look at a use case. As a product owner, I need to prevent my team from entering the incorrect details. Now, for example, this is a product page. If you look on the right-hand side, a screenshot. On the product page, you don't want to have identifier. An identifier is basically the name of the product. I do understand that nobody wants to leave that empty as an end user or as a product owner, but you still want to prevent it. Right? So because out of the box, it does not have that. So how can you, or what will you do to do that? Some of those, like I mentioned, will be out of the box rules that you can apply, and we're going to look at that. So let's dive in. So I have two things open here. This is the other instance I have open. So now let's look at the validation rule. So expand systems, validation, constraints. Now, I'm going to add a constraint here, or a rule. So there are two types, attribute constraints, compose type. We're going to look at the attribute constraint. Let's look at not blank constraint, the one we looked at from the screenshot. So we're going to keep this, we're going to add this. All right. So not blank constraint, let's name it product identifier rule, blank rule. Now this is a class that Hybris provides out of the box. Okay, let's look where this file is. It's over here in this validation-items.xml. This is where it's actually defined out of the box. Not blank constraint, which is right here. Not blank constraint. Okay. Now, where are we, or where do we want to add this? Let's add it to product. Okay, so these are all the objects that we have. Now I'm going to go to page 7, where I can directly find product, descriptor. Now let's look at products. Go to product. Gonna go to apparel product. Let's create 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Catalog version. Don't worry about this. Approval. Now, if you see here, identifier is empty. Right, I can still create it. Right, let's search for that product. It has an empty field. Okay, so now let's go back to this place, product, and if you hover over identifier, it will give you the name. Right here. It's okay if you can leave that empty. Error, it has a default message. It doesn't show up here. But if you leave this empty, it will pick that up. But let's add our own. Please add a name, a product name. Okay. So I'm gonna, don't worry about this group for now. It will pick up by the default. So product identifier blank rule, product identifier blank rule, product There you go. Now let's go back to adding a product here. Now before we do that, remember to reload validation engine. Okay, it doesn't take time, it happens right away. Now if you refresh this page, you're gonna see the error here. Please add a product name. Okay, until you add, it will not let you move forward. And if you leave empty, try to click on save, it will show you an error message. Now let's look at a couple more things here. You can make it 3 options: error, info, or warning. Let's do info. You click on save, make sure to reload the engine. Save, refresh. Now it's gonna show in blue because this is an info and it's okay to leave it blank. So if I'm gonna click save, it's gonna tell you please add a product name, but you can still save it. Saved it, you can still close. Now let's look at warning. Save, close this. Okay, refresh. Now you'll see it in yellow. Now if you try to click save, it's gonna tell you this way. You can ignore and save, or you can actually add an identifier. Okay, so we're gonna leave it at error because we have to go check the impacts and how that works. I have something ready. I'm gonna grab this, put it here. Let's not worry about this line. I'm gonna add a new product, 1456A, something like that. Okay, so you have the apparel product, you have the code, you see unit, super categories, variant type, approved, tags group, everything, EN, and genders. But you don't see identifiers, which is also referred as name. Okay, we don't have that here. Now if you, okay, let's validate, this is good. Now let's try to import. It's gonna give you an error. It says exception, cannot create apparel product with values. Okay, these are all the values. Due to, please add a product name, which is coming from here. Please add a product name. This is the other field I was talking about. So if you leave this blank, it's gonna pick up this default name. Okay, but we'll leave our own message. So that's all for this video. Thank you for watching.